Hello, my name is Logan, and I'll be doing a presentation on how to get a PsyD in counseling psychology. So a lot of the requirements for all the programs, there aren't very many in the U.S., especially for PsyD in counseling psychology, but some of the requirements that I found was that many programs require the students have a master's degree in either psychology or a counseling related field. It helps them to know that the students know what they're doing, that the teachers can invest the time into the students that are willing to make a career out of this and add research and add input to the field as a whole. Some of the prerequisites in other courses may be required as well, such as human development, or like counseling or clinical psychology. The other classes for your undergrad or your master's program, they usually like to see those as well. Other requirements are letters of recommendations, obviously, and a lot of them require in-person interviews as well. There are also professional letters of recommendation from employers or internships from undergrad or master's program. But yes, and a lot of the programs also for PsyD and counseling psychology, I like to see how students are working in the professional field already, so that way they know, they have a handle and a grasp as to how the real world works, how the working world kind of functions, so that way when they get to these classes and then they start investing their time and their money into these programs, they know that they'll be able to help them and give them the most help and most knowledge that they can at the institutions. There's a GPA requirement for most programs. Most of them require at least a 3.2 in all the classes that you're taking in your time at the institution. That's pretty average. The top that I saw was about 3.5 and the bottom was about 3.0. So 3.2 is about average for a program. Some other requirements are GRE. Definitely doesn't hurt to do the GRE, even though most don't require them. But an undergraduate degree is definitely required. You can't just jump into getting a PsyD in counseling psychology just, not even finishing undergrad. The core classes that we learn about it, either Salisbury or wherever people go to college for their undergrad in psychology, the core classes really carry on. They can be expanded upon. If somebody doesn't have a foundation in different principles in psychology, they can't learn more past, the things that every counselor should know. Credit hours vary for receiving a degree, but 90 is average. There's a 4-year minimum requirement for completion of a PsyD that includes all the credit hours that a student will be taking, and also includes the internship that the student will be taking upon themselves to complete the postdoctoral internship, and also any field work or other things like that that are required for the program. Some classes that are offered in several programs can include classes about cognitive assessment, about diagnosis and intervention. There are also several diversity classes and classes that deal with ethical issues, which is extremely important right now with the climate of the country right now. A lot of study in why different groups of people are being oppressed and being targeted by all these institutions in America. Those classes can help solve, or not really solve, can help alleviate some of the stresses that these people in these minority groups feel, because that's one of the goals of counseling psychology, is to help alleviate daily stresses and help people to see the world in a different way, so that way they can break past those stereotypes that this country and all these other people put on them, so that way they can live a long and successful life. Other classes include qualitative and quantitative analysis and research, which is especially important for PsyD or degree recipients, because it's very research driven, and applying that research that people obtain and applying it to the real world, different theories, different methods to teaching, like the humanistic theory and all that good stuff. Some other classes include organizational psychology and vocational assessments, so seeing where somebody would work best at, if they're at a hospital, if they're at a mental institution, or if they're at a rehab center or nursing home. All those different places can use counseling psychologists, because counseling psychology affects everyone at all points in their life, and it tries to improve their daily living and all points of our life. Some requirements for internships and field work while you're getting a PsyD. Like I said before, a 1-year internship is required before graduating with a degree, and supervised practicums are also required. So going and meeting with clients, having supervised visits with people at a hospital, different things like that are also required. It depends on the state, and also depends on the school for how many hours that's required. Most states require upwards of 1,000 hours of postdoctoral field experience before they can be licensed. So after you do all your classes, you do your field assessment, all that stuff, and then you get your degree, all the postdoctoral field experience, they have to be with somebody, like I was talking about, the supervision is especially important. So that way the APA can trust this psychologist, the state can trust the psychologist to help their citizens. A lot of students will be able to perform expansive research if needed, which I know is very heavy at SU. SU is very research driven and very theory driven. It's one thing I've noticed taking psychology classes. With the licensure, students will be able to resolve crises and alleviate stresses for clients. Those are two of the main things that counseling psychologists do that I found with these degrees, is they learn about the research in school, and then they go to apply these things in a counseling setting. The two programs that I've looked at, the first one was St. Mary's University in Minnesota. It's an accredited program in 2015, and they had some facts about when it's completed and how much it would cost. So it completes in about 5 years, including a fieldwork internship, and also about $885 a credit, for a total of 87 credit requirement. They specialize in ethical practice training. Minnesota is, you hear a lot about it right now, especially, which is very important to them to be specializing in this thing, because that's like the center of where all this racial injustice is happening. It also aims to pursue social justice and well-being for all people at all points of life, like I was discussing earlier. The second one was Springfield College in Massachusetts. It's also been an accredited program since 2015, and this one has a range. They have advanced standing, they also have accelerated learning programs. Most finish in between 4 to 6 years. It's built on study of theory and research, so it's more research driven than the St. Mary's College in Minnesota. There are also several internship opportunities in Massachusetts, more than in Minnesota. There are counseling centers and hospitals, behavior centers that highlight a list of different places that students can internship at. In comparison, these two, they're both accredited, they're both very focused on research, but for SU students especially, Springfield may be the better option, because it has more of a basis on research. More of what we do in our undergrad at SU can lead to elaboration and a greater knowledge about research in general in the psychology field at Springfield. St. Mary's University focuses on social justice issues and ethical dilemmas, and I know SU also is very heavy with those topics as well. There's a lot of things that the student body has gone through to kind of highlight these issues, and so I believe that both schools are good for an SU student to go to, but Springfield may be the better one if someone is interested in research, and St. Mary's University may be the better one if somebody is interested in being involved in social justice and helping minorities. And that's all I have. Thank you.